Great. So we're going to look at reasons why people do the Camino this month, sorry. So the first thing we're going to do is Jeremy's going to introduce you a little bit about Camino Ways if you are unfamiliar with us. So Jeremy, if you would like to.
Yep. So at Camino Ways, we organize walking and cycling tours on the Camino de Santiago on pretty much all the routes of the Camino de Santiago. We do guided and self-guided. So guided would be our group tours where you come together as a group and we have a guide and you start at one of the locations and you walk usually around 100 kilometers. Self-guided, that's really up to you. You tell us what you want to do and where you want to start, when you want to start, how many days you want to walk. We put together the itinerary for you. That's the hotels and the luggage transfers, meals as you want, and any other extras that you want. So it works very well. And that's what most people do when they come to us. So the accommodation we provide is usually in 2 to 3 star hotels. That's our standard accommodation. But where available, we can upgrade you to what we call our superior collection, which can be anything from 4 to 5 star to the lovely power doors, which are in some locations on the route. What people really like us for is the luggage transfer. So if you book accommodation with us, you'll also get luggage transfer, which means we'll pick up your main bag and we'll bring it to the next hotel while you walk that particular route in that day. We offer 24-hour support through a phone number that you have. So if you have any issues at all, 24 hours a day while you're on tour, you can call that number and one of our team will be there to answer and to help you out and hopefully sort everything out. And we work, as I said, with individuals and groups. So individuals would be people really doing our self-guided tour. Our groups would be people who come together as a large group and they want to walk one of the routes with a guide and a bit more support. So essentially that's what we do. The main thing to do is contact us with your plan. And then we can start from there. We've got very experienced staff who will put together the itineraries for you. And once when that's booked, you kind of move, I suppose, onto a reservation and customer service team who will look after all your questions and queries and obviously ensure that the reservation is done. So that's really about us and what we do and how we do it.
Okay. And I know one of you mentioned doing the Camino Ingles last year. So that is one of the many routes. And Jeremy can tell you a bit more about the other popular routes that people use to take.
Yeah. So as I said, we do most of the routes of the Camino de Santiago. And generally, these are the routes we do. So you see the yellow line there going from Saint-Jean-Pied-de-Port. That's called the French way, not because it's in France, but starts in France and Saint-Jean. One walking day, you go to Roncesvalles and you're into Spain, and then you've got another 760 odd kilometers to walk to Santiago de Compostela. That's the most popular route known as the French way. And the beauty about this route and all the routes is you can really tailor your tour for the amount of days you wish to walk. So while I said it's 760 kilometers, you don't have to walk that in one if you don't want to. You can pick different sections of it. And for example, you see Logroño to Burgos there, it's about 110 kilometers. Do that in a week, or you can do the next section, Burgos to Leon. And it kind of moves on from there. And we do have people who kind of come back to us year and year doing a week and then coming back and doing the next section in the next for a week. And so we have a long-lasting relationship with people. The second most popular route would be the route on your left in Portugal, the Portuguese way. That travels all the way from Lisbon up to Porto and then on to Santiago de Compostela. The route from Lisbon to Porto is not very well resourced. It's quite challenging for that reason. But lots of people do it, but generally the most popular is from Porto to Santiago and then from Bayona or Vigo to Santiago, which is the last 100 kilometers. Then on the top of northern Spain there, we have the Camino del Norte, which is the northern way, and that goes from San Sebastian through Santander, Oviedo, then to Lugo and into Santiago de Compostela. Popular here is really San Sebastian to Bilbao and then on to Santander. On the coast, absolutely stunning countryside, fantastic cities to visit as well. So that's a great route. And then as one of our people here today said, they walk the Camino Ingles, so the English way. That's the short little route from Ferrol, just in the red line there, down to Santiago de Compostela. There's lots in that. I mean, you can spend a lifetime walking the routes of the Camino. Just there alone, there's probably about got 3,500 to 4,000 kilometers of routes there. So yes, you could really pick and choose where you want to go and spend a long time walking the Camino. And of course, some people do some of the routes in one go, which is a great challenge. But we have quite a few people who do that as well. So in general, that's the Camino de Santiago. We also do what you can't see here is the Via Francigena, which is the Camino to Rome. We do the last sections of that from Siena in Tuscany all the way down to Rome. It takes about 3 weeks. And again, the same thing, you can break that up into weekly little sections. The most popular being Lucca to Siena. That's about a week's walking through the countryside of Tuscany, which is really stunning. So, yep, there we go.
Yep, great. And if you have any questions about any of the routes, you can ask them at the end shortly, okay? So then, obviously, if you want to walk the Camino, you probably have a reason for walking the Camino. Now, like you said, like Jeremy said, there are kilometers and kilometers upon routes. So you might just want to walk them just for walking them, but most people have another reason for walking the Camino. And we're just going to take a look at some of those. You might recognize yourself in that. And if you want to at the end, we'd love to hear why you yourself are going to walk the Camino. So obviously the Camino is traditionally a religious pilgrimage, and the two most popular reasons people walk the Camino are looking for a new challenge, which is only 0.2% more people than those going for religious or spiritual reasons. So those are still two of the most popular reasons people walk the Camino. This survey was conducted just before the pandemic. So 17% of people wanted to use it to get away from daily life and reconnect with nature. It's very possible that that reason has really increased over the past few years. We've just all want to go out into nature, and it's great to try something new and something active. So there are lots of different reasons, whether you want to walk for religious reasons, you want to just looking for a new challenge, or you just want to get back to nature. There's no wrong reason to walk the Camino, and there's no right reason either. And some other reasons as well, if you have a family, you know, if you want to go with your family, some people go as a personal goal. So perhaps maybe they want to heal after something that happened to their life, or it's just always been on their bucket list and they really want to try it out themselves. You may also go because you're a fan of the food and drink and the culture, or perhaps you have a love of history. Obviously, Spain, France, Italy, they're just complete like old historic places. So that's the Castle in Ponferrada there in the picture, and it's definitely very popular. But the most important thing to remember is that the Camino and your reasons are individual to you, and they're very important, and you know, they're all equally worth walking the Camino for, whether you just want to walk as well. I'm sure Jeremy would agree with that as well. And according to most pilgrims as well, and those of you who have already walked the Camino can probably attest to this. Maybe you have something additional, feel free to add if you do. But the highlights would be the people that you meet and the sense of achievement of making it to Santiago or completing whatever section of the Camino that you've chosen yourself. And also the Pilgrim's Mass in Santiago after you've completed your Camino is a major highlight for the majority of pilgrims, whether you are religious or not. Just the atmosphere and being surrounded by lots of different pilgrims is a real highlight for people as well. And so I know it can be, maybe you don't want to share it, feel free if you don't, but if anybody would like to share why you want to walk the Camino or what's drawing you there, please do feel free to unmute yourself and let us know why you personally want to walk the Camino. Anybody? No? That's okay. Don't worry. It can be a little intimidating to share these reasons, but whatever they are, personal or not, they're completely your own and completely valid as well. So the point is
I think one thing that brings people together on when you're walking the Camino, I mean, obviously the end goal is to get to Santiago de Compostela. And funny enough, I found from doing this for a long time that, you know, it can be a bit of an anticlimax, and not just the Camino de Santiago, but lots of other routes that are available throughout the globe to do. I think when you're walking, it's the spirituality or the feelings you get during it is the actual journey. And when you journey through a country at a slow pace, whether that's a walk on foot or on a bicycle or by other slow means, you get to immerse yourself first of all in the culture. That's always a bit of a shock to start with, but then as you move through it, you get used to it, and then you kind of immerse yourself in a little bit, and that's really where you get that reaction. And I've seen it time and time again, and nobody is immune to it. And it's a fascinating. And I think, yeah, I love sitting in the square in Santiago itself, watching people finish their journey, and whether it's they've just walked a day, a week, or 3 months or 3 years, that I think the reaction is always the same as one of relief, one of joy, emotion, and lots of other things. And people spend quite a bit of time just sitting in the square, taking in the atmosphere before they're actually able to pick themselves up and move to where they're staying or moving on if they're going on to finish there. So it's very much about the journey, and through that journey you'll encounter many different things and have many different experiences. And as Sarah's pointed out, those experiences can be cultural, they can be historic, they can be immersive with the locals. But I think in general, a lot of it is also the other people you meet on the way, so the other pilgrims. And it's totally unavoidable to meet other people. It's very hard to block yourself from that. And yeah, but it's also incredibly interesting and part of the fun of the Camino as well, and part of the experience. So I mean, it's become a bit of a bucket list thing as well. So people of all ages, families, family generations of families, you'll meet on the Camino, which makes, and all nationalities and all religions as well. Funny enough, you start to see that it's really open to all religions. While obviously it started off as a Catholic pilgrimage, it's really not that anymore. It's very much just a pilgrimage to a point, and therefore you do get all religions on it as well. Yeah, and Santiago is a stunning little city that holds essentially the whole end of the journey together. And you have the cathedral as well with the ceremony with the Punta Fumario, where the incense burner which they swing through the cathedral, which again is something to be experienced. And that's just really the tip of the iceberg of the whole thing. And I know that some of you probably had some experience on the Camino, looking to do some more, and that's really the essence of the whole thing. So
yeah, great. And you lucky few that are here already, you're getting the first to know that if you book now, you will save 10% on your booking for next year. So Jeremy can tell you a little bit more about that, but
yeah. So it's something we do every year, because it obviously goes a bit quiet now, and people are planning, but all of you are obviously planning. It's kind of a short time frame now to book for this year, so it'd be quite difficult. The season usually kind of winds up around second week of November. You start to see quite a few of the hotels closing, or services and albergues closing, and the weather will become quite inclement, so it's not best time to walk it. So coming back to March is when people start really walking the Camino again. And if you book with us now, you do get 10% off if you book in 2022 for 2023. And that's you can book with a deposit payment. So it helps out. And also, if any of you from the States have joined us, obviously you're getting extremely good value with the dollar. Because the dollar is very strong against the euro at the moment, so it's a great time to book with that. So that's save you some money, and I think that's probably going to be around for a while as well. So there you go. So if any of you got any questions, that'd be great. You can pop them in there, or you can unmute yourself and just ask, and we'll try and answer them. I see that someone's put up saying that they've walked the Saudi Santiago route 5 years ago. Now they want to do the whole from Saint Jean Pied de Port. Reasons are spiritual. I want a month of hiking to help me prayerfully discern how to spend my retirement. So that is a very common thing, actually, and absolutely achievable. As I said, we do the whole route. We can manage the whole route for you from Saint Jean Pied de Port. It's about 4 weeks walking. Definitely recommend you take some breaks. That's just take a day off in some of the bigger towns and cities along the way. So like Pamplona, Logroño, Burgos, Leon, they're great places to take a day off and take your time. Average walking day is about 20 kilometers. Anyone who's walked the Camino knows that. Some days are longer, some days are shorter, and some days are tougher, and some days are easier. But that's just, again, the nature of the Camino. So if you want to see what our itinerary is like for us walking from Saint Jean Pied de Port, just pop us an email to info@CaminoWays.com, and myself or one of the team will get back to you with the full itinerary. Of course, on our website, you can build your own tour yourself as well. You just go in and become a member, and you can actually create tours and put in the start and end locations, and it'll actually put it together for you as well. So no problem for there. And best of luck with your plans, because it's a great thing to do.
Definitely. Yeah.
So
it's not so much a question, but more a comment. The food in Galicia is excellent, provided you eat fish and eggs, because I prefer vegan, but it was tough. As I say, the fish is excellent, but one of the other main dishes does have eggs in it. So anyone who's vegan or strict veggie needs to bear that in mind. And that's not flagged up in any of the literature I've read.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point, that, and it's true. In Galicia, they're very traditional farming community, very much so. They very much live off the land, and they very much live off their own produce. And so a lot of the hotels you would stay in, or even albergues, and the food you eat would pretty be out at the back garden and the vegetable garden, out of the fields. So, if you're eating lamb or beef or vegetables, they've come straight through the back door. In most, and even the wine is very local as well. And I have to say, it is challenging for vegetarians and for vegans on the Camino, because it's I suppose it is a traditional area, and to say that they don't understand vegetarians and vegans would not be fair. But they're not fantastic at catering for vegetarians or vegans. And that they're learning that, and it's getting a little bit better, but especially vegans, I think, definitely have a challenging time on the Camino. And I always do say to people, try and subsidize your food by bringing maybe some meals that you like to eat yourself, that you can maybe put in the microwave. And if you gave, let's say, porridge or something like that to the kitchen staff, they would have no problem heating that up in the morning. That porridge is obviously well known to sustain you on a day's hike. And I always say to people, if you're in albergues, that's fine. You're pretty much catering for yourself. But if you're in hotels, when you're checking in on that evening, is at that very time, that's when you tell the people that what you're if you have any what's the right word?
Allergies or food intolerances,
yeah,
or preferences.
Our preferences, really. Just tell them then, and then you might get a little bit better, because no point in surprising them at the table, because they may not be prepared for you. So I have a question here from Kathleen. What size backpack is good? Hiking boots, trainers, etc. Suggest a packing list for 30K
I'll send a link
hikes.
to the packing list in. So I'm going to send you the packing list, Kathleen. Jeremy might be able to talk more about the bag. Sorry for interrupting, Jeremy.
Yeah, Kathleen, it really depends if you're carrying all your own stuff, or if you're using a luggage transfer company. So I'm not sure if you're transferring your main luggage, then you're absolutely fine. Like a 10-20 liter backpack is perfect. So yes, you're using luggage transfer. So that makes it very easy for you. But a 20 liter backpack, and what you should put in that is really what you need for your day. Any extra food is always good. Never rely on what you believe is going to be in front of you. Always ensure you have enough water and food to sustain you for the day. There usually is lots of places to stop and sustain yourself, but probably not good practice. Maybe an extra fleece, because no matter how warm it is, you'll get cold when you stop. Always good to have a light raincoat and a hat, your sun cream, sunglasses, camera. Can't forget the camera, even though it might probably your phone. And then anything else that you personally need. And hiking boots, trainers. I'm not sure where you're from, Kathleen, but there's fantastic outdoor stores. Most countries have them if you're in the US. So REI stores, I don't know if you know the REI stores, the staff in there are very experienced. That if you go in and tell them what you're doing, they'll actually give you options of which the good hiking. I would say in the US, you would call them approach shoes. So if you're approaching a mountain, you wear nice, comfortable, flexible shoes. When you get to the mountain, you put on your big, unflexible hiking boots to go up the mountain. But approach shoes are really good, and as they're known in the States. So flexible, wide-soled hiking shoes would be the best thing on the Camino for that, and that's my advice. Everybody has their own preference of what they like to put on their feet, but please make sure you buy them well in advance and use them well in advance, even during the day. Walk around in them during the day so your feet and the shoes get used to each other.
Great. Anybody else have any other questions before we wrap up?
I'm sorry, I missed this. I couldn't get, I forgot about the timing being 5 o'clock. I didn't realize, is there another webinar coming up?
We have them every month, but this is actually being recorded. So it will be up on our YouTube and our website tomorrow, and I'll share it on Facebook as well. So you can watch back. So don't worry about that.
Right, great, thank you.
No problem. And if you have any questions in the meantime, you can write on Facebook or email, and we'll answer any of the questions that you send on.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you very much.
No worries, no worries. Sorry you missed it. Bobby's just put up a question there. What's the best month in the spring? Well, any month in the spring is good. As I said, people usually start walking around March, but it'll still be a bit cold around March. So April, May is actually quite busy on the Camino in certain parts. Any of the last 100 kilometer routes into Santiago can get quite busy, but busy is a kind of a wrong word to use, because when you're walking a trail, everybody's walking the same direction. So it's never like you're kind of hustling, bustling through crowds. Can get a little bit crowded in the towns and in some of the cafes and bars en route, but that's half the fun as well, because that's where you meet lots of people. So May is busy. Yes, it is less wet than April, but it's impossible to predict what the weather's going to do these days. So traditionally it would be. Yeah, so I'd say May is a fantastic month to walk, and April can be very good, but still a bit chilly. And obviously when you get into the June, July is fantastic as well. A lot of the local Spanish people, so a lot of Spanish people will walk in mid-July through to August. It's their time to do it. But they're used to the heat. So I always say for us kind of people in the northern hemisphere, is probably better in the autumn or spring.
Yeah, great. Okay, so we will have another webinar next month. And of course, if you have any questions in the meantime, please do contact us by email. It's in the chat box, or on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and even just leave a comment on the blog and we will get back to you. Okay. Thank you all for joining, and wishing you a very, well, it's rainy here, but hopefully it's less rainy where you are. And yeah, wishing you a lovely evening or morning, depending on your time zone. And we'll see you at the next one. Okay.
Yep. Thank you very much. And just get in touch if you need anything from us. As Sarah said, we'll be posting up the link to the webinar if you want to watch it back. I was about to go for a hike now. It's 5:30 here in Ireland, but maybe not. Maybe I'd have to really convince myself to go for one. All right. Well, thank you. And hopefully we'll see you all soon in the Camino.
Okay.